Welcome, everyone, to another great episode of Scott Talk. Today, I've got Jason Bieler. He's got a new record out called Jason Bieler and the Baron von Bielski Orchestra. Songs for the Apocalypse is the title of the album, and it's due out January 22nd. Jason, thanks for being on Scott Talk, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Excellent. First of all, congratulations on this record. This is, to be honest, I've only heard the two singles that you've put out, but man, I am so excited about this. I've always been a huge Saigon Kick fan. And Apology. The first time I heard that, I was like, I had it on my phone and I was like, I'm going to need to put the headphones on for this one. And man, I put on, I was blown away and I was like, man. And then I checked out the next single, Bring Out Your Dead. And that one too, man, both of those songs, they stick in my head all day long. Like when I listen to them, like today, it's Bring Out Your Dead. That's been in my head all day. Yesterday was Apology. How do you do that?
That's awesome, man. I'm super glad you like it, man. That's obviously a much better way to start the interview than I hate your new music.
Right. So the question everyone wants to know, Jason, did you have oatmeal for breakfast this morning?
I know this is really high level, very important stuff that the internet is highly anticipating the answer to. And yes, as a matter of fact, just finished maybe 15, 20 minutes ago.
Awesome. All right, let's get into this new record. You've got a lot of guests appearing on this record. I'm going to let you tell us who they are. Let's start with Apology, because there's something, when people hear Todd Latour is on that song, unless they know he's also a drummer, they'd be very surprised to hear what he's actually doing on that song.
Yeah, Todd and I have been buds for a couple of years and more than a few years. And, he's such a drummer fan. Like, not that he's not a brilliant singer, one of the best singers in rock and metal, but when you talk to him about drumming, his eyes light up. And like a little kid. So, I mean, to me, like the idea was like, he's, and obviously he's great at it. So, I mean, I just thought it'd be great to be able to use him in that capacity. Cause he's like, if you talked about like, hey, can you sing on something? It's kind of like, yeah, sure. And if you're talking about drumming, he's like, absolutely, I could do this, I could do that. So he's even if you ask him, as much as he loves singing, obviously, if he was only allowed to do one, he may actually pick drums.
Wow.
So, having him involved. And then obviously Andy Blacksugar is the guitar player who played on a lot of the stuff with me. He's brilliant. And he comes from he plays with KFMDM and Peter Murphy and has that whole different kind of world. And then the bass player on that one's called Kevin. His name is Kevin Scott. He plays with everybody from like a Jimmy Herring, Wayne Krantz to the John McLaughlin last world tour that happened. Just a monster bass player. And the list of the record, we could spend 4 hours just going through who's on the record.
Yeah. Well, I want to, get a lot of the names out of you.
Sure.
Instead of just, the main guys. I know there's a lot of people on there. So Todd Latour, for everyone that doesn't know, was a singer for Queensyche for a while. And he's also done other things. And the first time I saw him drumming was, I forget what band I was watching on YouTube. And I saw Todd get behind the drums and fill in with some popular band. And I was like, this guy can sing that good and play drums that good. That's not fair. That's two things I cannot do. And he can do them both.
He's ridiculously talented, but I was also, look, everybody on this record I'm a fan of and I've been friends with for a long time in some degree or another. So the chance to get to work with them all is amazing. But, Butch Walker, right, amazing songwriter. I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, but he's got, a producer in his own right, just produced Green Day. All kinds of stuff. Devin Townsend is playing the guitar solo on Bring Out Your Dead. Amazing. David Ellefson. You don't need any introduction for Dave, from Megadeth and all that stuff, but he's on 2 tracks on the record. My friend Benji from Skindred, who's the singer in Skindred, is on a track called Beyond Hope. Clay Cook, who's in the Zac Brown band, is on Anthem for Losers and just one of the, just an amazing musician. Clint Lowry from Seven Dust. Great. Bumblefoot from Sons of Apollo and formerly a little bit of Guns N' Roses time. Ricky Sanders plays drums on a bunch of tracks, who was in Super Transatlantic with me and Pat Badger.
Right.
And then Pat Badger from Extremes on it. Edu Kominatu, who's from Brazil, amazing drummer, plays with Jeff Scott Soto, and I think he plays with Jeff Tate a lot too. Kevin Scott, I mentioned. Stephen Gibb, who did some shows with Saigon Kick. He just produced his dad's new record, Barry Gibb.
Okay.
So Stephen's part of the Gibb family. My lifelong brother, Jeff Scott Soto, is on a track. And Emil Wursler, who's from, some of the heavier stuff, and also just brilliant guitar player, and plays with Tony McAlpine and played with Doff, and the list goes on and on. So
Excellent.
a pretty
man.
epic group of friends.
I'd say so. Now, how did you bring all this together? And was this, I think you started writing in March, right? From what I read. And that was right around the time that everything started shutting down in the country, right? Around March from the pandemic. So
obviously the horrible tragedy that people have experienced on a personal level of the pandemic, it's got so much negativity around it. The one ray of hope and positivity was that everybody happened to be around. So when I was initially thinking of doing this, I figured I'll call 25 or 30 of my friends, and just due to the nature of life and touring and all these different things, 4 or 5 of them will be able to do it, and that'll be great. And it turned out that everybody was into doing it, to the point where there's even more people I was going to work with that I didn't get a chance to actually, do this time. So hopefully, moving forward, I've been talking with Corey Taylor, who I'm a huge fan of as well, and there's just so many more musicians. It'd be great to continue this process on and do more. But yeah, so that part of it worked out fantastic. I mean, we were able to, everybody had a little bit more time and was in their own environment and able to do it. So.
yeah. Do you think that's mainly possible because of the pandemic, that people they weren't out touring and they maybe had a little more time with a lot of these musicians?
I like to think it's because of I think it's because of my singular genius, and the thrill of getting to hang out with me would have pushed them over the top under any circumstances.
Well, yeah, that part is obvious.
But no, I'm sure it's a lot easier when you're not traveling.
Yeah. The theme of the record I want to get into, the Baron von Bielski Orchestra. You've got like sort of like a wicked circus looking kind of theme with your outfit and everything for the record, and I think it's awesome. Is that an actual outfit that you own that's on the cover of the record?
It's showbiz. I cannot reveal to what degree the actual details are.
How much of the the title "Songs for the Apocalypse," and given the time that you started writing this record, do the current state of affairs in the world, any of that subject matter make it onto the record, like lyrically?
I'm sure it's always in there. It's always in there subconsciously, I think. When I came up with the title initially, it was like kind of tongue in cheek, and isn't that kind of a coincidence that we're in these early phases of what may become a pandemic? Now it just seems like it's too on the nose. It's just it's exactly Songs for the Apocalypse. But yeah, I don't really tend to. I try not to. I mean, I let my subconscious go more than I sit there and say, today I'm going to write a song about the righteousness of mankind overcome.
Right.
I don't think that way. I just kind of almost like I turn one side of my head off, my brain off, and just let the other side go.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your writing process and stuff. Is that usually how, like with this album especially? I mean, how did you get your song ideas to the other musicians, and what was that process like with them? Did you maybe play to it like a click track and send it to the drummer and say, here you go, or did you do like a demo and send it to him, or?
Well, I did a raw framework, so I had I programmed a bunch of drums in, and the songs were all written and kind of done in the structure and sense of it, and that's what I sent to people, kind of a almost finished version minus their contribution. So in a kind of reverse way you'd normally do it, the drummers wound up playing to the track that I had created, and we just pulled out the drums, and kind of went retro. But the drummers are so great that doesn't feel that way. At least to me, it doesn't. So, um, yeah, but it was all kind of sketched out and demoed, and then I just kind of, it seems like with the amount of people, it would have been really thought out and planned, and kind of like a PowerPoint of who's going to play what, where, and then. But it really was much more of a, I'm going to send this to Butch, I'm going to send this to Devin. Devin wrote back, I'll play bass on that, or I'll play guitar on that if you want. And I was like, well, then Bumblefoot said he wanted to play it. So all right, Bumble, you play that. Devin, you play this. And it just all really fell together in a wonderful, creative way. I mean, if there's any magic to it, it's just that I was able to get these amazing musicians. So you're going to get amazing stuff from all of them. It's not like anything that's going to come back is going to suck or something. It's like they're all so good. And I think that was the most important part, because had it been musicians of a lesser caliber, or not quite as talented as these guys, then you'd been dealing with like all these, different issues, and, did that work or did this work? And I'd be remiss if I did not also mention, because I was just not, Kyle Sanders from Hell Yeah is also on the record, on two songs on bass.
Great.
Before I forget. And
yeah,
he's amazing.
It does seem like it would be a huge project to get all these different musicians and record this record like you did, but that's cool that it just kind of came together. Did you produce it? Because it sounds amazing. You did.
So you expected it to suck because I produced it?
I did. No, man, I didn't. I figured you probably have been producing your records, like the owl stretching and all that. So you probably just, I don't know.
All that stuff, all the owl stretching and the Bandcamp stuff initially was just writing experiments. So that wasn't really, I wasn't really wearing my producer hat as much as I just wanted to, my goal with that was to like write, record, and release a song in about 24 hours.
Yeah.
To just keep writing and writing and moving on. So nothing was, I didn't want to spend time on snare reverbs and,
right.
I just wanted to, and that wound up being like 150 songs. It was solely to sharpen the tools as a writer. So this record, I spent obviously a lot more time just, there's a bit of a headphone component to it for those people that listen. I mean, obviously the vast majority of people listen on ear pods and, while they're running or doing something else. But for those that want to listen to it in headphones, I mean, there's a lot of really cool layers and panning and, placement of things that I hope people will pick up on as they listen to it multiple times. Like I was just saying, I think that's something that hopefully will make a record last longer, because it's not just so one-dimensional. Hopefully, like some of the records I love growing up, every time you listen back, you'll go like, oh, I didn't realize that part was there. I didn't hear that the first time. I didn't notice that this was going on. So we put a lot of thought into, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was watching a video with Andy Blacksugar where he was going over the parts he played on Apology, and that was amazing. And I thought it, obviously the first time I heard your song Apology,
he's so good.
I thought that was you, because I didn't know you had anyone else on there. And I'm like, Jason's great. I always thought you were great guitarist. I love your style. I love your chunky, heavy riffs that you do. And they're just fantastic. And, I thought you were playing the solos and everything on this record the first time I heard it too. And I'm like, wow, he got even better than the last time I heard him. But Andy Blacksugar.
It's so funny. It's so funny to me, because I'm such a fan of these guys. So, I mean, while I could have played solos all over the record, I just thought like, this is a great opportunity to get some input from people I just love. And I think Andy's one of the most underrated guitar players on the planet. And Clint's brilliant. And, obviously Bumblefoot's out of control. And so I wasn't so concerned with getting my solos on the record as much as I was getting these guys to be a part of it. And it was just a personal thrill.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Andy Blacksugar's amazing. And I noticed he was playing a Sully guitar. I had Sully on my show about a week ago, and we talked some guitars and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
Are you a big guitar guy? I see you got some guitars in the background there. How many guitars you got? Like 50?
I don't try to collect really very much. I mean, I try to keep what I use, so for the most part, I mean, I'll rotate things out that I'm not using. So I might keep, 8 to 10 of them around at any given time. And if I see something sitting on the wall for too long, I usually wind up getting rid of it. I like to have the tools for what I'm trying to do. I don't like to have collections
Okay. That,
personally. They're
yeah,
meant to be played, not looked at.
very true. Yeah, I've dwindled my down to 4 after having about 12. So it just didn't
Right.
make any sense for me to have all these guitars. Um, that white and black guitar though, that I've seen you use on a lot of videos.
Oh, that's that's a PRS NF3,
That's what that is. Okay. I love
which I
that
love.
guitar.
The pickups in that guitar are some of my favorites, and I use that all over the record. Then the one that's unfinished in the background, that's a Meridian. And those guys are amazing builders. They built the bases for Chris Squire originally back in the day for Yes, and then they built the original prototypes for Nuno's guitars.
Oh, wow.
And then that's a Telly from ESP that I actually got in Japan. That's like a one of a kind thing. I think only James Hetfield has the other one that's kind of like that.
Oh,
And then
wow.
Ibanez just sent me that black AZ, which is amazing. I really like that. And that's my Martin D35. And there's two more on the wall over here, but
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, that black and white PRS, I've seen you do a lot of videos with that guitar, and I'm just like, I love that thing. I love the black and white, the look of it and the maple neck. It's just awesome.
yeah, it's a great guitar. And it's really not, I mean, they don't make them anymore. They haven't made them for years. So they're getting kind of harder to find, but they're not super expensive.
Huh.
I mean, you could probably pick them up used for between $1,000 and 1,500.
Excellent. Wow. Saigon Kick came out of Florida. You guys actually got signed out of Florida. And I don't imagine that all that many rock bands get signed out of Florida. How'd it happen? Like, and was it difficult to get signed? Or did you guys have a connection or?
No, we did everything backwards. I mean, we didn't really have a demo tape, didn't have pictures. We just got, we started doing this stuff in playing shows. And the next thing you know, we were drawing like, over a period of like a year, we started drawing like 1,000 to 1,500 people to our shows and selling them out, fairly big venues. And literally it was pretty much after that point, Jason Flom and Michael Wagner had come down to see us on a weekend, like on a Friday or Saturday night. Michael Wagner was amazing and said literally, like, if we wanted to be in LA on Monday, we could start the new record, because he had a couple of weeks before Skid Row was starting their next record. And we were like, yeah. And so it really happened kind of, there was a lot of work going into getting the shows together and getting more and more popular. But in terms of we never really shopped or went to labels, or they all came to us.
Nice. Yeah, when you got it, you got it. People find you,
Well, or a little bit of luck never hurts either. So.
Right. How about, let's circle back a little bit to Houston, We Have a Problem, which you put out in 98. And then the other solo record, Where Dreams Go to Die, in 2018. I don't want people to forget about those records either. Those are good.
No, but those were really just writing in demos and stuff. Those are more so than an official. I mean, this new release is really an official solo record.
Right.
Those were just kind of like, I don't like leaving music on a shelf. So if I do demos or I'm writing demos and I don't go back to them, I'd rather have people who are into that kind of stuff hear it.
Right.
Yeah, those. So, and the Where Dreams Go to Die and all that kind of stuff is really just repackaged stuff from the Bandcamp writing experiment. Because I was getting yelled at for not having anything on Spotify by some partners in that I was my labels through. So I just figured, okay, I'll take, some of the more popular ones from the Bandcamp thing and put them on Spotify. And initially they were all released as singles. And then we kind of put them together in these clumps to make it a little bit easier for people. So there's like 5 or 6 songs per EP, but it's all part of that same thing we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah. I think writing songs is sort of like exercising in a way. Like, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And obviously it's been working for you, because you've just been putting out song after song since like 2011, right? It's when kind of the owl switching.
I love music. I've always loved music. So to me, it's like whether anyone's going to pay attention or not, I'm fortunate enough that I have a pretty great studio. So I just come in the studio and start making music. And that's what I would do regardless of whether it was ever going to be released. I keep saying even about this new record that I'm super thankful that all of a sudden it's getting on these massive Spotify playlists and prog metal this and that, and all these new people are discovering it. But I really was only concerned with making a record and then having my buddies dig the songs, and beyond that, I never really, I shouldn't say didn't care, but it wasn't even in my mental process, that it would become a, get a buzz about it or anything like that. So I've always been that way though.
Yeah. So when you had the hit Love Is on the Way, were you kind of surprised by that? And I know we're going back to Saigon Kick days here. I'm kind of skipping around, but when you wrote this song, I doubt you were thinking this is going to be our single, right? I mean, because that's really the only song on that record.
We had ballads on the first record. We had a ballad on the second record. It was never released as a single until after a radio station started playing it. So, post that, it blew up on its own. So yeah, it was never like we're going to release a hit single type thought process. We were actually in Mexico shooting a video for Hostile Youth when we got a call that a radio station started playing the ballad and it was exploding.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember hearing Love Is on the Way on a local station out here called B96, which they played only like dance music, and I was thinking, okay. But yeah, I was a fan since your first video came out on MTV. I think it was for What You Say. Is that the song?
Yeah.
First.
Yep.
I saw that video and I was like, man, these guys look fun. And yeah, I've been a huge fan ever since, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks very much.
So you're not in Florida anymore. You're in, is it North Carolina?
Yep. Moved here about 4 or 5 years ago.
How's it? You digging it out there? I mean, why North Carolina?
I love it. I mean, there's, I love, the mountains, the trees. We have a nice spread of land where I don't see anybody or near me. But I'm still really near major cities and can do anything I want to do. So I'm not like isolated by any stretch. Yeah, I love it. It's amazing here. And I like having seasons.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Florida's just always humid and hot.
Exactly.
And you get eaten by alligators. 2021, what are you thinking so far as obviously no one knows what's going to happen with the pandemic stuff, but are you going to try to tour this album?
For sure. I mean, right now, I'm talking to my agents and stuff like that, and we're trying to see, we're cautiously optimistic about maybe some fall shows if everything goes right. And if not, then it'll be when it can be. But definitely looking forward, because I think it's going to be a pretty challenging record to bring live, and I'm looking forward to it. So it will definitely be toured in one capacity or another as soon as it's safe for everybody.
Definitely, man. That's awesome. And your website looks great, by the way.
Everything, including the artwork on the record, and the website is done by a guy named Robert Merrick, who's just a badass. And he does all the Photoshop stuff too, like the funny pictures of he's just a hidden genius. Yeah,
I'd say so. I mean, it just draws you in. It's so powerful, the art, and then the music to go along with it, and the outfit, and the look of everything, the vibe. It's just like, man, I want in.
Awesome.
Well, I hope you'll come back in 2021 here in about, I don't know, 5-6 months or whenever you're possible.
Can't wait to do it.
Let me know. We'll share some more good stories about the success of your record and everything, and it'll be great.
Let's hope so, right?
Yeah, man. Jason Bieler and the Baron von Bielski Orchestra, Songs for the Apocalypse. It's coming out January 22nd, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm super stoked. JasonBieler.com is his website, and I'll leave all his links in the description. Jason, thank you very much, brother.
I appreciate it, man. You have a great day, and I appreciate all the positivity and all the support over the years, so thank you very much.
You got it, man. Definitely. Everyone else, take care, man.